Greetings in the name of the Most High John Rastafari. This is the girl Jen, Sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny, and if you want to get formal, it's Miss Jennifer Frederick. Another edition of the We Totally Think People. Today is Wednesday already. Time and tide waits for no one. And you know how we just do it here. We had to start with a bless up TNT because we are sovereign country, independent state, Republican state. We are no master servant up inside here. So let me play the anthem. Respect we anthem, we flag. Founding father would have given us that with others who stood with him to make this country an independent country, a cosmopolitan country. Don't let them take that away from me. I'm not the pledge.
I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of my God and my country. I will honor my parents, my teachers, my leaders, and my elders, and those in authority. I will be clean and honest in all my thoughts, my words, and my deeds. I will strive in everything I do to work together with my fellow men of every creed and race for the greater happiness of all and the honor and glory of my country.
People, for the honor and glory of my country, I pledge to dedicate my life to the service of my God and my country. But he ain't going to put me, no bacchanal and no me, nothing. No. Don't put me in that, Papa. We not at that. Zone of peace. People of my country, I always have a little black history to bring. It's important to know our history. When you know your history, you have a greater sense of self and you're able to make better informed decisions, hopefully. So listen to this.
They called them midwives to cover up the truth. But the first doctors were black women, the first healers, the first surgeons, the first OB-GYNs were all black women. Centuries before medicine had a degree, African women, stolen and enslaved in America, brought with them generations of medical knowledge of herbs and surgery and childbirth. They healed the enslaved when no one else would. They delivered babies, even performed C-sections with tools they made by hand. And here's the part they'll never teach you. White doctors came to them, took their knowledge, wrote it down, claimed it as their own. An enslaved woman named Anarcha endured over 30 surgeries without anesthesia. Her body used to advance the field of gynecology, but her name was buried with her pain, ignored. So when they tell you modern medicine was built by pioneers, remember it was built on the backs of black women. They were the first doctors. And erasing them, that was the first malpractice.
Okay. I'm sure plenty of us didn't know that. Now you know. And I just had to play this one again.
I'm Judah, the so-called African American, the lion of the Southern Kingdom. We're waking up now. I'm Benjamin, the so-called West Indian, the wolf of Zion. I move fast, talk real. We're waking up now. I'm Levi, the so-called Haitian, priest of the Lord. We taught the law, now we stand to enforce it. We're waking up now. I'm Ephraim, the so-called Puerto Rican. I lead the Northern Kingdom. We rising, and we waking up now. I'm Manasseh, so-called Cuban, strong like the ox, firstborn of Joseph, still standing. We waking up now. I'm Simeon, so-called Dominican. I don't forget, I don't fold. We bring the sword of truth. We waking up now. I'm Zebulon, the so-called Panamanian and Guatemalan. We come from the coastlines. We built, we bled, but now we rise. We waking up now. I'm Gad, the so-called Native American. They overcame us with war. Now we rise with truth. We waking up now. I'm Reuben, the so-called Seminole. We survived the swamps, the raids, the lies. But now we stand up. We waking up now. I'm Asher, the so-called Colombian to Uruguayan. From olives to oil, we were blessed to anoint kings. But now, we waking up. I'm Issachar, the so-called Mexican. We bore the burden in silence, but now we rise. We waking up now. I'm Naftali, the so-called Chilean and Argentinian. Swift as the deer, but now our steps return home. We waking up now.
Women know your history, black women know your history, understand your word, black men, colored men, brown men. Know your worth, know your history. So let me continue. I want to say condolences coming from the Levitown Ting family to Bunji Garland, as we know him, Ian Alvarez, on the death and passing of his mother. And I hope that he has the support that he needs at this time, and that the memories of his mom brings a joy to his heart whenever he thinks about us. So again, condolences to the Alvarez family, that's Bunji Garland, and his family, and the passing of his mom. We also had the passing of another mother and somebody who was immortalized in song. I want you all to listen to it, but condolences also to her son. I'm going to share more than one children, and her family, and the passing of her death. So listen to this.
Sugar boom, sugar boom, boom. Sugar boom, sugar boom, boom. Sugar boom, sugar boom, boom. Sugar boom, sugar boom, boom.
A cultural icon in her own right, and the inspiration behind late Calypsonian icon Lord Kitchener's biggest hits, such as Sugar Boom Boom and Flag Woman. Valerie Green is being remembered for her beauty, joy, and strength. On Monday, the pews at St. Finbar's RC Church in Diego Martin were filled with family, friends, and members of the cultural fraternity who gathered to honor the iconic dancer. Green passed away on September 19th after experiencing shortness of breath. While her children have since raised concerns of alleged malpractice, the homegoing service focused entirely on Green's life, celebrating her as the mother of mothers. This was evident as her son Colonel Roberts emotionally recounted the long and brutal legal battle over Lord Kitchener's Reinorama mansion, a property that rightfully belonged to Green as well, which she has turned into a museum to honor her late husband.
They then went on to build Reinorama Palace together, the house where my siblings and I still reside up to this God-given day. May I add, there was a legal battle for Reinorama. She endured a 23-year court case to restore Reinorama back to her name for her children, whom she did every and anything for. Thanking God, he kept her alive long enough to see the injustice did to her corrected.
The room was filled with musical icons such as Destra Garcia, Marshall Montano, and Farmer Nappy, a testament to the deep significance local music held in Green's life, with even the officiating priest delivering part of his homily in the form of an extempo.
The priest may throw me out after this anchor verse, but I want you to hear what I'm about to disperse. Sugar boom is all I could say in church. God made Valerie with attributes we cannot reproach. Made in his image and likeness, we make that claim. Valerie was true beauty and not only in name.
And Deacon Derek Walcott went on to encourage those in grief to wave like Valerie Green did, with faith, joy, and laughter in our hearts. Angelo Jedediah, CNC3 News.
That Colonel Roberts and his family are there again, sending love from the Let We Talk the Ting family and from the Bounce Up channel. We wish him and his siblings. These are times that just saying, my condolences, sometimes they just song and be enough. But that's all that sometimes we can give. So our condolences goes out to the Roberts family and also to the Alvarez family. I want to send birthday greetings also to Mayor Ma Amar Motley. And I'm seeing here, let me put it up. So I see my MP, Stuart Young, SC, saying happy birthday to one of my favorite CARICOM sisters, Mia Motley. Wishing you God's continued blessings and many, many more birthday celebrations. Have a wonderful birthday, Madam PM. The Bajan and Trinidad flag. So I was looking here and see that Mayor Amor Motley, born the 1st October 1965, is a Barbadian politician and attorney who has served as the 8th Prime Minister of Barbados since 2018 and as the leader of the Barbados Labour Party, BLP, since 2008. Motley is the first woman to hold either position. She is also Barbados' first Prime Minister under its Republican system. Following constitutional changes, she introduced that abolished the country's constitutional monarchy. So again, happy Earth Strong, again from the We Talk We Think family and from the Bounce Up Central Network. We wish Prime Minister Barbados, Mayor Ma Amor Motley, happy Earth Strong. Much life, much love, and continue to be our CARICOM sister and CARICOM country. Yeah? So let me continue. You all listen to this. Because when I come here, this is not movie night, but there's a lot of videos and you all need to listen to what they are saying. The videos could say much more than I say.
China's policy is very clear. China will not fire the first shot, but China will not allow you to fire the second shot. China will never allow the United States to launch a war against China, conventional or nuclear, without suffering devastating consequences. If you have not watched the Victory Day parade in Beijing on September the 3rd, one of the weapons China demonstrated, we call it 61, because it can contain 60 nuclear warheads plus one hydrogen bomb. Now, in the world of today, let me tell you, which country has hydrogen bomb? China is the only country with hydrogen bomb. And that ICBM can cover every corner of the world in less than 20 minutes and destroy any target in any corner of the world without any possibility of being intercepted. I hope Washington has learned the lesson. If you want to have war, you will get war. If you want to destroy China, you will be destroyed. If you want to impose nuclear war on China, you will be wiped out by nuclear war. This is very serious.
So when Kamala Prasad Bissessa and she supporters think that this whole thing is a big joke, and she's strong and she's standing strong and she's standing for we, in my opinion, she just playing the ARSE. Because we are ready for them kind of thing. We're supposed to be very diplomatic because we are big in the dance. And that don't mean to say we afraid nobody, but you have to have sense. And them operating with no sense. You hear what China saying? Well, let us listen to this.
And now they're referring to Venezuela as a narco state. Well, you on your own do your research on the magnitude of Venezuela's oil deposits. And Venezuela is right up there above Saudi Arabia with oil deposits. And you'll find a glaring coincidence in world history that for some reason, all of these countries where there are massive deposits of oil or potential energy, they happen to have leaders who are dictators in America's eyes.
That's right. Think about it.
Now, this idea of, as they're referring to Venezuela now, as a narco state, and the whole Caribbean is right there caught in the middle. Key characteristics of a narco state are institutional corruption. Drug cartels and trafficking organizations have a strong grip on government institutions, including the judiciary, police, military, and political offices through bribery, force, or blackmail. This allows them to operate with impunity and undermine the rule of law. Economic dependence. The illegal drug trade becomes a significant and, in some cases, the primary source of a country's revenue and foreign currency. The economy becomes reliant on the illicit market, making it difficult to dismantle without causing widespread economic collapse. High levels of violence, including murders, kidnappings, and turf wars, are often a hallmark of a narco state. This violence is not only a result of competition between rival criminal groups, but also a tool used to intimidate and control the population and state actors. In many cases, drug cartels become a de facto governing force in certain regions, providing jobs and social services while maintaining control through fear and violence. Now, these characteristics, which are being used to describe a country that is being called a narco state, are actually characteristics that we have become accustomed to in communities. Look at it. So countries that are not narco states have communities in them where there are features of narco trafficking empires and many kinds of kingdoms in these separate geographically spaced communities. For example, high levels of violence. Have we heard about that in our communities? But the country is not defined that way. But the community in the country is. Murders, kidnappings, and turf wars. Have we heard about that in our community? Yes. But the country is not defined that way, but the community is. And this is as a result of competition between rival criminal groups. Has there been gang conflict in our communities?
Yes, sir.
Bloods versus the Crips, Vice Lords versus the El Rukins, Gaza versus the Gully, Brownstone Projects versus Van Dyke Projects in Brooklyn. So wait a minute. No one is called America a narco state.
That's right.
But you have all of these communities that have like a microcosm of a macrocosm of what a narco state is, but in geographically restricted areas because of the narcotics that got into the communities. And the question is, how did those narcotics get in the communities? From the same people who are not being described as narco traffickers, but they circulate guns and drugs within the black community where there's high unemployment and low minimum wage and a lack of opportunity for the youth. and then guns and drugs are available, we take them up, take on the characteristics of the demonic satanic plan that had a vision for the black community becoming that way, and then we are the ones who are defined as a narcotics or drug trafficking community with gangs and violence.
Take what you all want from it. It is education at the end of the day. When you listen to those things and you think about it in context, what exactly is happening? I'm seeing here that President Ifran Ali named in the 2025 Time 100 next list of the world's most influential rising stars. Papa, yo. Big and the dancing. So what this is about here, let me see if I can see this thing. President, if this was, let's see which one this was. This was September the 30th, 2025, newsguyana.com. Let me see a little piece right here. President Dr. Ifran Ali has been named one of the world's most influential rising stars under the Times 100 Next category in 2019. Times began publishing the Times 100 Next list, which spotlights 100 rising stars who are shaping the future of business, entertainment, sports, politics, science, health, and more. President Ali is featured alongside global leaders like Mark Zuckerberg, Simona Biles, Serena Williams, Ed Sheridan, Snoop Dogg, and Dennis Hassabals. In recent years, Ghana's President Ifran Ali has contended with news extraordinary good and bad. On the positive side, this country of over 80,000 people has one of the world's fastest growing economies, thanks to a discovery of offshore oil, and has produced 7.5 billion from sales and royalties since 2019. On the negative side, Guyana lives next door to Venezuela, which claims part of that oil-rich territory despite its international recognition as part of Guyana. Ali was re-elected to a second presidential term in early September, in large part because over the past 5 years, his government has used the massive windfall to build roads, schools, and hospitals. Over the next 5 years, he wants to invest in diversifying to avoid over-dependence on oil prices. But he will need all his diplomatic skills to keep tensions with Venezuela at a simmer. Yes, some people will not agree that the money is being used to build roads and all them things in Guyana, but me living there, there's people who live in there, just tell me, so me and no papa. But I see at times some teachers went to collect the money and it's one big dirt road. The dirt so thing it packed down. You have to look good to see. You say, wait, and rise at night and you kind of picture something like brown, so when you look at dirt, yes? And they stand up looking, all that money, me find things looking so good, but me living there, papa. Let me continue. He continues. Still with Guyana, let me move. What you call them, long time I call them the sweet man. Sweet man, Ifran Ali, watch him. Hey, player. Hey, ooh la la. So I'm seeing here, this is Guyana Media Newsroom, September 30th, 2025. Guyana President Dr. Ifran Ali urged Caribbean community, CARICOM, leaders on Tuesday to approach the growing presence of United States naval assets in the Caribbean with eyes wide open, emphasizing the need for mature and open discussions on security matters affecting the region. The state-owned Department of Public Information quoted Dr. Ali as saying that while some Caribbean leaders may view the U.S. military buildup positively, Guyana recognizes that the situation requires more careful examination. which Caribbean countries he said viewing the build-up of America in the waters here positively? As far as I know, it's only one person come out and talk, unless the others talking behind the scene and you know about it. There's only one person come out publicly and talk about supporting America, and I cannot personally say and the UNC. The UNC is our next country. I don't think that's Trinidad and Tobago. That's our next country. Them had their own anthem. When UNC win, everybody wins. That is the anthem. And the motto is, the code is, oh, yellow is the code. Them had their own anthem and their own code. I don't know about which part of the island is because they can't even have a steady place to keep a meeting and the headquarters and all that. So I don't know. Anyways, the state-owned department, all right. The zone of peace is not only about threats to borders, it's also about threats that we are now seeing, he said, noting concerns such as drug trafficking, illegal migration, and the use of international waterways for transshipment. The United States has ordered an amphibious squadron to the Southern Caribbean as part of President Donald Trump's effort to address threats from Latin American drug cartels. A nuclear-powered attack submarine, additional P-8 Poseidon Renaissance aircraft, several destroyers, and a guided missile cruiser also have been allocated to U.S. Southern Command as part of the mission. Venezuela has since responded to what it termed the threat posed by the United States and has itself marshaled its troops along its borders. This whole thing about dark thing on it, so I can hardly see this thing. Late last month, President Donald Trump ordered the U.S. military to strike a boat allegedly carrying drugs in the Caribbean Sea or Venezuela, killing 11. Earlier this month, he told reporters from the Oval Office that he had strong evidence that the latest boat in which 3 people were killed also was carrying drugs. The Trinidad and Tobago government has come out publicly in support of the United States sending naval and military troops to waters near Venezuela as part of Washington's crackdown on narco trafficking. In her address to the UNGA, the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, last weekend, Prime Minister Kamala Persaud-Bissessar said while there have been objections to the U.S. military action against drug cartels from some countries, Port of Spain wanted to remind the international community that unless forceful and aggressive actions are taken, these evil drug cartels will continue their societal destruction because they believe affected nations will always unreservedly subscribe to morals and ethics which they themselves blatantly flout. That is why we willingly supported, why shouldn't he say we? That is why we willingly supported the International Security Alliance announced by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, involving the U.S. and several countries in South America to combat drug trafficking in the hemisphere, she told the United Nations General Assembly, adding that the notion that the Caribbean is a zone of peace has become a false ideal. The reality is stark. No such peace exists today, she argued. President Ali said that Guyana has consistently promoted the region as a zone of peace and has responded to threats with diplomacy and truth rather than hostility. Papa. Every single day, the Venezuelan government attacked me personally, attacked this country. They said the worst things about us, but we have never responded in a hostile way. We responded with facts and truth, he said, underscoring his country's commitment to measured and principled diplomacy. Why you don't talk to your partner, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, no, the Prime Minister of the UNC? Why you don't talk to she? The Guyana president emphasized, those are my opinions, The Guyana president emphasized the importance of intelligence sharing and collaborative discussion amongst regional partners to understand fully the implication of military movements. What is needed is a meeting of minds, a meeting to share intelligence and to share information, he said. So a fuller understanding of what is at stake here for all of us. President Ali maintained that through open dialogue, transparency, and regional cooperation, Caribbean countries can collectively safeguard peace and stability while addressing emerging security challenges. So it seems that the cheese stand alone, and that cheese is the UNC. I just saying, oh Lord have mercy. You remember Monday I told you about the women of the breakfast shed, how they are removed or they have moved because of the fact that they are owing some 1 point something million in debt in terms of, I guess, rental for water and electricity. I think that is what the whole 1 point something million would have alluded to. And I am saying, why the state can write off that debt? The state have written off many debts from Caroni and given Caroni workers the biggest retrenchment package in the history of the Commonwealth. Up to now, they're still getting land from it just of May this year. Canopus have give 200 ex-Caroni workers land. So Caroni was a drain and a burden on the economy. It is alleged that they used to be taking all kind of heavy equipment and putting it in the thing where they carry the cane. So when they go to weigh the cane, because of all that weight in it, it's making it look like they cut real cane or it's a real cane, and they was getting paid for that. All that happened. But they saved them jobs. They reimburse them, retrenchment, they get money. Is it because they're mostly of Indian origin? I'm just asking a question. Because I find it very fast to close down URP, CPEP, reforestation. And now I hear a lot of contract short-term workers at Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs, they're going home. Who ain't crying, who ain't this, because it is some time now. All of them going home, young people. Because it is alleged that it's PNM. And you know, once they say it's PNM, it means you're looking black like me, because it's only black people, apparently, that's the PNM people. Or only black people alone does vote for PNM, nobody else will vote for PNM. So I feel that they could write off the debt, but they wouldn't do that because it's black people that's giving. Wait and you go see who they rent out down there to. The co-owners and former presumed tenants of the breakfast shed have threatened legal action against the Urban Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago over what they describe as the unlawful closure of the popular Port of Spain eatery. Well, they have a new board now, so Mr. BDC, so you know what's going on. He must get the code. In the pre-action protocol letter sent by the attorney, Kenneth Monroe Brown, the vendors accused Udicot Chief Executive Officer Tamika Charles of misleading both the board and the national community by denying that eviction notices were issued. The letter claims that Ms. Charles bullied, intimidated, and hounded the vendors out of their businesses, forcing them to close under duress and harassment. Brown wrote, our chambers called out Ms. Charles on being guilty of having bullied, intimidated, and hounded our client out of their business operation to the extent that under the pressure of duress and harassment, their businesses have folded. The attorney reminded Udicot that the vendors' rights remain despite the closure of the facility, pointing to a long-term lease request previously submitted. He added that the vendors had made constructive proposal in a letter dated September the 9th, but the CEO chose the path of conflict and confusion. The letter also referenced assurances allegedly given by former Prime Minister Patrick Manning in 2005 when the vendors were first displaced. According to Brown, each cook was promised 500,000 compensation, but only 100,000 was paid, leaving an outstanding balance of 400,000 per cook. with 15 affected cooks. The unpaid sum now stands at 6 million, exclusive of interest and costs. The attorneys call on Utica to acknowledge the promise made by the former administration, recognize the vendors' rights, and settle the outstanding balances along with accrued interest and legal costs. Brown warned that if Utica fails to respond within 14 days, his clients will file legal proceedings against the corporation and also against Mrs. Charles personally for gross negligence, misfeasance, I thought it was mal, I see miss here, in public office and oppressive conduct. Our chambers trust you will treat the matter with the seriousness it is the letter concluded. What I call Mr. Bidesi because I see he was talking a kind of slim, pretty looking Indian fella as the board of Utica. But I know that I think somewhere in 2005 or 8, anywhere around there, Mr. Manning would have built that space there for those women, and they will encourage to form a corporation, and they would be in charge of the daily running of the facility, and Utica will be the maintenance, do the maintenance of the facility. So I guess Utica was supposed to be checking and making sure light bill paid, this paid, that paid, and all them kind of thing. And to have the place up to a standard. We go see how that goes, but good for you guys, and not good for you in the sense of good for you. I mean, in terms of standing up and fighting. That's what I mean. Fighting back, giving a legal challenge. That's what I mean with good for you. Ladies, stand up and fight. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. So I'm seeing here now, tutor. And as I talk about the workers being fired or the contracts ending at Ministry of Sport in Ethiopia, where's Felicia Thomas, the president of the PSA? She's silent. It is alleged she's driving a new BMW. All you hear is me? It is alleged she's driving a new BMW. Now, I don't know if that PSO, none of his PSO, who, excuse me, who authorized money to buy that if it's PSA car. If it's not, we're home going to get money to buy a BMW. It is alleged she's driving a new one. Let me continue, Papa. Tutor waiting on government for salary settlement. This was yesterday in The Guardian. The Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association tutor said it is now waiting on the government to finalize, excuse me, the 2020 to 23 salary settlement for teachers. Lord, pardon. I forget to bring more water. While tutor asking for them 20, director, if you're listening, just play a little music there for me now. Go and get some water to drink. Director, let me see if I find a little music to play.
Try with a federation, the whole thing end in confusion. CARICOM and then CARIFTA, but somehow a spelling disaster. Mr. West Indian politician, I mean you went to a big institution, and how come you can't unite 7 million? When a West Indian unity, I know it's very easy. If you only rap to your people and tell them like me, them is one race, the Caribbean man, from the same place, the Caribbean man, that make the same trip, the Caribbean man, on the same ship, the Caribbean man. So we must push one common intention, is for a better life in the region, for we woman and we children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man. say that the Federation was imported quite from England, and you're going on for my Carifta with a true West Indian flavor. But since Carifta started running, morning, noon, and night, all I hearing is just money speech, them Prime Minister giving. But I say no set of money, good for my unity. First of all, your people need their identity like one race from the same place.
People, sorry about that. I'm so thankful for technology, or as I'll be saying, I'm just coughing. Thank you, Director, for coming to my rescue. So as I was saying, let me get back to the story very quickly. And it had to do with the vendors, the ladies down there at the breakfast shed, who are now suing or with a made intention to sue the UDCUT, right? So, oh yes, I read that and I move on to, oh, my bad. I move on to tutor. So let me get this tutor story up and running again, my bad. So what I was saying, tutor is able to be asking this government, now the CPO, now to settle the 5% for the period 2020-2023. The public service is so lucky. We're still on 2013 salary, and it's a large part. It had to do with Watson Solomon, Duke Felicia Thomas, and Leroy Bertis, who is now the member, who is now the Minister of Labour. Because in 2014 to 16, we had gotten a settlement that they never told us about, and they never did anything about it, and it went on. Because Duke was into politics, and Felicia and Leroy Bertis was right there with him, and he was forming his party when he was campaigning and everything. So they didn't care about that. They was always on politics. So as I was saying, in a memo to members, to explain that while it signed a memorandum of agreement, MOA, with the personal department on April 18 this year, the agreement must first be ratified by cabinet before it can be implemented. Once approved, the Ministry of Finance and Education will be instructed to carry out the settlement. Tutor said Chief Personal Officer Commander Dr. Darrell Dindial has assured that a cabinet note has been submitted to Finance Minister Juventina Tanku. The note contains both the MOA and a new interim allowance for third schedule officers covering the period 2014-17 and 17 to 2020. In April, just days before the April 20th general election, Tutor accepted the CPO's offer of a 5% salary increase for 2020 to 2023. The offer included a spread of 1%, 1% and 3% over the period, along with consolidation of the cost of living allowance and other improved terms and conditions for members of the teaching service. Tutor said it has done everything within its power to address the matter and now anticipates that the provision of the MOA will be reflected in the 2025-26 national budget. Tutor anticipates that the cabinet decision and the budget presentation will determine the timeline of payout, the memo stated. The association also indicated it is prepared to take all necessary action should circumstances require. So I know, excuse me, this Minister of Finance, I show he must be wishing he did never take the job. We're going to get money to pay them thing. I wonder if it's out of the $94 million check from the Chinese that the Prime Minister got when she was out there with out of the United Nations. I wonder. We will see. We will see. I'm also seeing, well, anytime you hear the transfer as a permanent secretary is because, in my opinion, the minister don't want you to. So we say now, this was 1 minute, this was September the 29th, 2025. In the Daily Express, Energy Minister, Permanent Secretary transferred. Penelope Bradshaw Niles has been reassigned as permanent secretary of the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries. Well, once she was there working under Stuart Young, SCMP, who was the Prime Minister and Minister of Energy. You know, she gone. The move follows a reported disagreement over the approval of the vehicle lease. Acting PS Krishna Tulsi sent an email to staff at the Energy Ministry informing them of Bradshaw Niles' reassignment to a new portfolio within the public service. Look who take over. I wouldn't be surprised if Karen Star Tulsi is not now going to be not the acting, but the permanent secretary. We go see. All the names sound familiar, you know. Who don't like what I said? I'm glad for if all they don't want to see it. Only this time they didn't put up no sign all over the place, but unless we time now. They didn't do it this time. Bradshaw Niles is said to have been reassigned to the Ministry of Sports and Community Development. We extend our sincere gratitude to her and her dedicated leadership, commitment, and valuable contribution to the ministry during her tenure. Her work has strengthened the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industry and has positioned the ministry for continued success, Tulsi wrote in an email to staff by expect. So if her work was so valuable, and she contribution, and which she put all the movement she for. Look, don't give me that BS now. Again, my opinion. The MEEI, that is the acronym for the ministry. Team wishes PS Bradshaw Niles all the best as she enters this new chapter, the email said. The Express reached out to the Energy Minister, Dr. Ram Mullan, for comment on the situation, but received no response. The WhatsApp message was sent to Mullan stated, "Good day, Minister. Hope all is well. Can you confirm if Ms. Penelope Bradshaw Niles has been reassigned as permanent secretary to the Ministry of Energy? What was the reason for this move? Was this a standard procedure or a special decision? How will this affect Energy Ministry projects and operations?" Look, me reading no more. All I know, in my opinion, they ain't what she did. That's the opinion I give him. Was he fine? She was working with Stuart Young, SC, MP, and they what she did. They want to bring their own people. That is my opinion again, I give him. Ms. Bradshaw Niles is said to have over 20 years of experience in the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries and this country's public service. She holds a BSc in Chemical Engineering and an MSc in Engineering Management from the University of the West Indies, as well as an MBA in Petroleum Management from the University of Kansas. Bradshaw Niles previously held the portfolio of PS in the Ministry of National Security from 2019 to 2020. Mr. Bradshaw Niles' immense knowledge and experience of the energy sector is because of her many years of work at the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries. At the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries, her portfolio included that of Deputy Permanent Secretary, where she successfully led a team to develop the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries strategic plan for 2017-2021. She was also involved in the development of cross-border initiatives with Trinidad and Tobago and neighboring territories such as Venezuela, Grenada, and Guyana. Ms. Bradshaw Niles worked on a range of technical roles during her career as a petroleum engineer, chiefly in the areas of acreage management, competitive bid rounds, and CO2EOR roadmap initiative. A profile of her stated. Bradshaw Niles was last reported attending a meeting on September the 3rd, 2025, where Minister Mulal received an update from Dr. Bram Williamson, Trinidad and Tobago Operational Manager at ExxonMobil. All the moving that woman has so much experience, she have petroleum engineering, this. All them things, work on all the cross border, all them things, all the moving she from there to push she, make she come to development and sports to do what? What about the woman that to do? She more serve and more better across in energy. But is it because she worked for the PNM government? Because 20 years they're talking about that all they have something against you and all they move shit. Failures, yes. Pure failures. Let me continue. Excuse me. Let me continue. So I'm seeing here that MP Brian Manning would have said, he was speaking about the downgrade and evaluation. The People's National Movement had a press conference today, and Comembert would have spoken on the devaluation by Standard and Poor's. So let me read what, although Mr. Manning was not there, let me read what he would have said. This was September the 29th, 2025. It was in the Trinidad Express. A downgrade and evaluation are almost inevitable, former Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Brian Manning, said yesterday. Commenting on Standard and Poor's recent revision of the country's credit rating outlook from stable to negative, Manning said that the United National Congress government is now reaping the whirlwind that they have created. They have spent the last decade and a half either destroying or undermining every single revenue and employment generated initiative by the PNM, Manning said. From the aluminum smelter, the Dragon deal, signing poor energy contracts, the Sandals Resort, reopening of the refinery, cancelling the TTRA, cancelling property tax, defaming foreign investors from India and elsewhere, telling investors in the energy sector to take the rig and go. All of this has negatively impacted the revenue generating capacity of the country and inevitably will have negative economic consequences, he said. Sadly, the people of this country will suffer for it. They have killed the goose and now the economy is starving. A downgrade and devaluation are almost inevitable at this point, he said. Senator Vishnu Paul declined to comment, stating he would wait until the finance minister presents the national budget. Former finance minister Comembert also declined to comment at this time, according to S&P Standard and according to S&P. Trinidad and Tobago fiscal and external buffers have eroded gradually over many years, reflecting limited progress in boosting economic growth and strengthening fiscal management. The negative outlook reflects our view that there is at least 1 in 3 chances we will lower the rating over the next 6 to 24 months, S&P stated. To the IMF we come in, we were warned. To the IMF we come in. All who say we will be suffering under Rowley and Rowley wicked and bad and be suffering and be suffering and be suffering. Well, I never they say suffering, so me ain't go suffer. All who they say that they're suffering, they go know what suffering is now, Papa. So I see this little side note here, so let me just read it. So this was written, let me see who it's written by, because it's not by me. Michael Edmund Ihan, it says, Philip Edward Alexander has produced a masterclass in performative loyalty disguised as foreign policy commentary, a junior minister, appointed through coalition calculus rather than diplomatic credential, declaring that 1 week at the UN eclipses a decade of governance analysis. Its institutional memory erased, dressed in exclamation points. The facts reflect his narrative. Pasabi Sessa attended United Nations General Assembly 80, delivered a speech on CARICOM bilateral meetings, and received an award. Standard diplomatic protocol for any head of government. No treaties materialized, no binding security agreement emerged, no quantifiable diplomatic breakthroughs appear in the public record. Rowley tenure produced measurable foreign policy infrastructure. The 2016 restructuring of the Foreign Ministry to prioritize CARICOM integration, sustain maritime sovereignty, defense against Venezuela territorial claim, participation in climate finance negotiation, and maintenance of trade relationships during commodity price volatility. These initiatives operated across electoral cycles, building institutional capacity rather than generating viral moments. Alexander rhetorical construction, that is performance, that is winning, functions as assertion through repetition, bypassing the evidentiary burden entirely. The capitalization serves as typographic volume compensating for argumentative substance. This technique targets emotional renaissance among partisan audiences while avoiding factual vulnerability. His motivation reveals itself through recent political biography. Alexander's People's Empowerment Party emerged into the UNC coalition, securing him ministerial appointment. His current posture represents coalition maintenance, loud, visible demonstrations of alignment that justifies his institutional position. The hyperboles signal fidelity to party's leadership rather than commitment to analytical rigor. Foreign policy accumulates through sustained diplomatic engagement. Technical cooperation agreements and economic partnership development. Government inherit complex machinery that operates independently of electoral theatrics. One speech doesn't dismantle or supersede international or institutional work constructed over years. Alexander conflates visibility with achievement, mistaken attendance for accomplishment. His commentary raises Rowley's record, not through superior policy outcomes, but through decorative force, governance by assertion rather than evidence. This represents political performance art, not statecraft. It deserves the dismissal it receives. Excuse me, Mr. Edmund. You see all them big words that be put in there and how you have to go through all that? But I was enjoy your writings. You and Mr. Leonard Cho and somebody else. Let's do some stuff. So people, let me get to this thing. So we saw just recently the Prime Minister of this country, I saying, in my opinion, the Prime Minister UNC, would have gone to the United Nations General Assembly, made a speech that them feel it was so riveting that 6 of them they clapping like some pom-pom girl, pom-pom boys. And everything she said, they clap, just cluster together and clap. It looks so false, it looks so fake. But she had her say, and people find she was strong and all that, totally clueless about diplomatic channels and about diplomatic language, right? Plenty wars ended with diplomacy. Apparently, she don't know that. So coming out of that, Papa, we see she have big news and all kind of thing. And what the news is, Secretary Rubio meeting with Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Pasal Dessa, April 30th. And coming out of that meeting, let me read it. Secretary Rubio met today with Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Kamala Pasal to discuss the strong U.S.-Trinidad and Tobago partnership, particularly on regional security and counter-narcotics cooperation. He commended Trinidad and Tobago's steps to conquer transnational criminal organization and curb illicit narcotics and firearm trafficking. The leader also discussed effective efforts to restore stability in Haiti, including through support for the UN Security Council resolution authorizing a UN support office for Haiti and gang suppression forces. The Secretary acknowledges the importance of energy security to Trinidad and Tobago, economic prosperity, and regional stability. He outlined U.S. support for the government's Dragon gas proposal and steps to ensure it will not provide significant benefits to the Maduro regime. The Secretary emphasized that deepening U.S. Trinidad and Tobago cooperation will be critical to disrupting narco trafficking networks, strengthening regional security, and safeguarding region. So apparently, the discussion about Dragon is on, and the Marco Rubio is saying that the proposal will have steps in it to ensure that it will not provide significant benefits to the Maduro regime. So the Dragon conversation is back on. I want you all to listen to this.
While she acknowledged and applauded the initiative, She said this great moment in history will not be fully realized until the executive order against Venezuela, as proclaimed by the United States, is dismantled.
What I do advocate, President Maduro, is that we collectively raise our voices again, and individually as nations in the region, that we raise our voices against this executive order, which you reminded me that there was once such an executive order, which was then followed by invasion.
Generally, the Prime Minister felt that this 7th meeting of Western Hemisphere leaders has been extremely productive and encouraging.
Right? That's when she was in love. That's my opinion I give it. See Maduro hugging she up there until 2010. She wanted to think to the UN for them to stop the thing against Venezuela. Executive order they have against Venezuela, stop that, and Cuba, and all kind of thing. Yeah, this one.
Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar made several surprise announcements following the swearing in of her cabinet on Saturday. The one that stood out the most was TNT's push in the energy industry. The Prime Minister said her administration would not move forward with the previous government's dragon gas deal.
That is dead. It is dead. They kept it alive for 10 years. And they couldn't do that in 10 years. They're not going to do it now. Let's look right in the Caribbean, as I mentioned, Grenada, Guyana, Suriname.
Right? The Prime Minister, just when she was sworn in there, and after that, she said the dragon dead 10 years. And because they may know apparently you know nothing about oil, it will take about 10 years from when you start. You have to do seismic research, you have to do this, and all of them will take a period of time that could take you about 10 years. So the dragon deal, although it has been 10 years in the making, it has reached a way now it's just to run the line on them to in Venezuela, water on them side, and pull the gas down. That's where it was when MP Siochung as Minister in Energy and Energy Industry, and then as Prime Minister. That is the stage it was at, because the OFAC license that we got was going to be up, I think, in October. So you have to get a OFAC license. So she said the dragon dead 10 years. They done that, the dragon dead. They're going and look in Grenada and Suriname and Guyana for oil. They want nothing to do with President Maduro, because they say she's calling him narco terror, all kind of things she called him. Listen to she here again.
But I have a surprise for you. I intend to send my Minister of Energy to Grenada, because I'm being told that Grenada offshore has more gas and oil than the Dragon field. So shall we explore that?
So now she going Grenada to export that, because she here Grenada have more oil and more gas and things than Venezuela. She going there. Listen to this.
As I've seen, when we realized we'd run out of reserves at some time in the future, that might be too far off in Trinidad, we went to Venezuela. And everybody in Trinidad now know about Dragon. That Dragon field of gas is worth 3 TCF of gas that gives us gas for decades. 18 kilometers of pipeline to a platform in Trinidad, straight into monetization. Venezuelans don't have that ability to monetize gas. You bring it straight across to the hibiscus platform, straight down into Atlantic LNG. They print in money from LNG, we print in money as well. BP Shell print in money using Venezuelan gas. And the Venezuelans as well, for the first time, get the opportunity and the ability to monetize their gas in a fashion that they couldn't before, straight into LNG. 2018, we scored commercial term sheet. Change of government in Washington, geopolitics change, new president, heavy sanctions. Can't do business with Venezuela anymore. Everybody is hands off. We didn't give up. Continue to maintain the relationship. I went across the Venezuelan population, don't know this, putting myself at risk at times during the time when it was heavily sanctioned. When there were protests in the street, there was no food in the stores of Venezuela. I saw that firsthand. Going to continue to meet with the government of Venezuela, because when you're with a friend in bad times, you're going to remember that. And that is part of what diplomacy is about. We believed in it for Trinidad and Tobago, maintain the relationship, change our government in Washington again. Prime Minister and myself decided strategically we have to try because we have to get access to that Venezuelan gas for the future of Trinidad and Tobago. 9 trips, I think, in 1 year to Washington, D.C. Very, very carefully. The same White House that you all see on television, several visits I made to the White House. The same Congress that we see now on television, Prime Minister and myself went. We didn't only meet with Democrats who in government, we met Republicans as well and educated them as to who Trinidad and Tobago is and the benefits it could have. What was his story? Europe needed gas because they had come off of Russian gas. We are a friendly country and ally that could provide LNG. We could provide fertilizer. We have plants that are already built with capacity. All we need is access to that gas from proven reserves in Venezuela. 18 kilometers of pipeline, boom, LNG, ammonia. They listened. We kept at it. I remember one day the Prime Minister giving 7 speeches to different Republicans, Democrats, members of the government. We got through. You all know now, we got an OFAC license, the only people, apart from Chevron at the time, to get permission from the United States to do business with Venezuela. But of course, when we were negotiating, they didn't want any payment in cash. We said, okay, we'll pay them in LPG. First thing that you hear screaming at us is, well, President Maduro wouldn't do business with you all because you're not paying him in. Again, it's not for us. It's not for Prime Minister Rowley and Stuart Young. It's for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We didn't give up. I kept going to Venezuela, meeting with them, taking pressure at times, but we kept engaged with the United States, and in October of last year, we got an amended OFAC license. We could pay in US currency, fiat currency, etc. And a few short months afterwards, I'm proud to say that we managed to negotiate again for the first time ever a 30-year license with the Venezuelans, which we now have for the Travan field. So we have that in hand. A deal that will provide major benefits to the people of Venezuela and secure the future of Trinidad and Tobago for decades to come.
You could tell me what it is Dr. Rudan Munilar and the UNC boasting about that Kamala Pasabi Sessa do? All the work they done do already, but not only that. In the OFAC license that Minister Stuart Young was able to negotiate and get, the first one, they were not going to, America didn't want to give Venezuela, paying it my way, no money from the gas. And it come to where more negotiation continue to happen, of course, with Minister Stuart Young, where it reached the way better monetize it and get fiat currency. So there was an agreement. They had to meet with President Maduro and the administration because the dragon gas is in them water. It's not in Trinidad water like the next part of it where they were able to delink it, I think, the Lauren Manatee. Well, I think most of it was on we waters. The dragon, the bigger part of it is in Venezuela water. Now you're hearing whatever agreement. Now we're seeing no OFAC license to retire. Let me see the license, to see the terms and conditions under which Kamala Pasabi Sessa will now and she government be able to do business with Venezuela. Let me see that, because we see that with the PNM government. And we know one part of it is they were able to, Venezuela were able to get fiat currency for the gas. It was a totally different arrangement. Now they're saying here, without we seeing the OFAC license, we're not seeing no contract, that America of the bad say Venezuela mustn't gain nothing much from it. So I want to ask all this something. How will Kamala Pasabi Sessa and the UNC going to get that gas from Venezuela water? How they going there? Who they going to talk to start to do that type of business with Venezuela? Is it, as people have been saying, more learned people than me, international people, this one, that one, but this has nothing to do with America being in the waters in the Caribbean, to do with not with no drugs, but more about regime change. I'm just asking, because how you're going to get Venezuela gas? After all the thing they say about Maduro, it a bounty on his head, all kind of thing, and then all they talking, he administration mustn't get nothing from it. Take his gas, take Venezuela gas, and they get nothing from it. How that happening? So a man go just walk in your house, take all we have normal dress on, and you just sit down in this country. Some are fighting for them to bring stand your ground laws for home invasion. When people come into your place without permission, to do that you could stand your ground. They're fighting for that in Trinidad right now. But all they believe in Kamla Prasad and them could go and get Maduro oil, and gas, by just walking in just so, and there will be no reaction to it. I just asking all. So when they're hyping themselves, what Kamla Prasad do? What did Dr. Ruda Munilal do? They have done nothing. All the work has been done already, and they have to start with a fresh license, carry the old one. Who they're going to negotiate that with? They're going to make it up between Kamla Prasad going to make it up between she and America, and then they will take action. How they doing that? All they think now, people will we go get money now. How they getting the money? Who they going to? They're going to run in Venezuela water. I want to see. We train men here who are underwater diver, this, that, and all the work staff. If them going to lead a family on land in Trinidad and get on any boat or whatever to carry them to any place out there in Venezuela water to put on pipe, big pipe on them to bring the gas in. I want to see who went and do that. I want to see who Trinidadian going to say them going there in Venezuela water and take the people gas. I want to see who doing that. I want to see Shell or BP is going to go in them water there without any meeting or anything with the Maduro administration, and them going to think people gas. I want to see how that happens. So then you have to pinch yourself when you hear people talking about what they sit in this water for is not what they're here for. I don't know what it is Kamla Prasad Bissessa promised the US. What it is she promised? She needs to tell us what she promised. It had to be something. Nobody ain't doing them kind of things. So outright you coming out and supporting America and the rest of the Caribbean saying zone of peace, and this is not a zone of peace, and you stand with Venezuela. I have only a member of parliament saying that if that only touch thing how India go nuke Venezuela, then you saying if they only go in Guyana, you would let them come and use here. And it had to be something in that. You gave me talking that just so for free. I just asking a question. Wait till you promise this country. Wait till you promise with generation to come. Is it because you don't have no children on your own asking a question that you don't care about other people's children? Is it because you ain't make no children on your own asking a question that you have no love for nobody? I just asking a question. Let me continue. So, meeting with Marco Rubio is nothing strange on you. Listen to this.
CARICOM leaders, including Prime Minister Stuart Young, met on Friday in an emergency virtual session to prepare for a visit by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio to Jamaica. The Office of the Prime Minister confirmed on Saturday that Prime Minister Stuart Young will meet with Secretary Rubio. Their discussions are expected to focus on U.S. foreign policy and the effect on Trinidad and Tobago and the wider region. The statement from the PM's office says Prime Minister Young believes the bilateral discussions provide a strategic opportunity to highlight the importance of the relationship between Trinidad and Tobago, CARICOM and the United States, and to focus on exploring areas for the deepening of cooperation. The Prime Minister notes that his meeting with Secretary Rubio is in keeping with his undertaking to continue to engage in dialogue at the highest level of the United States administration for the benefit of all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Secretary Rubio's visit comes on the heels of threats from the U.S. administration to revoke the U.S. visas of regional officials whose countries have utilized Cuban medical personnel to support their health programs. Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Dr. Amory Brown will accompany Prime Minister Young to Jamaica. Karen Cozier-Phillip, TGT News.
So Prime Minister Stuart Young went to Jamaica to meet with Marco Rubio. Isn't that the same thing Kamala Persad do? Okay, listen to this.
Prime Minister Stuart Young will be part of the contingent in Jamaica on Wednesday as CARICOM leaders meet with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
We all in Trinidad and Tobago know the importance of the relationship between ourselves and the United States. And as I've always been saying, we have kept completely engaged with the government of the United States, regardless of who is in power in the United States.
48 hours before his travel to the Caribbean, Secretary Rubio tweeted that countries that allow its oil companies to produce, extract or export oil and oil-related products from Venezuela will be subject to new tariffs. Additionally, companies will be subject to sanctions. The Prime Minister was asked how that will impact Trinidad and Tobago.
Trinidad and Tobago has very specific issues that we will be discussing, and that bilateral. We have never hidden from the facts that this relationship and the geopolitics between Trinidad and Tobago, quite frankly, the United States and Venezuela, is not one that is completely within our control. But you have seen us navigate the waters. We will continue to navigate the waters. I am confident that we will be respectful in our discussions.
Before he resigned from office on March 16th, former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley highlighted the importance of the Dragon gas deal to Trinidad and Tobago's economic future. Prime Minister Young has been instrumental in getting that project off the ground.
Who is it that was the one that went all over the world and negotiated the Dragon gas deal? It was me. So fortunately, I am very, very aware. I've done the advocacy in the United States, in Venezuela, in Europe and elsewhere. So I'm very familiar with the arguments, and I believe in Trinidad and Tobago, and I know what are the best arguments for us to put forward. So what it is a respectful relationship.
The Prime Minister is also aware of the strained relationship between the U.S. and Venezuela. In February, the Trump administration cancelled oil production concessions granted to Venezuela by former U.S. President Joe Biden.
Managing it, there are a lot of issues related to the relationship, not just energy issues. And we have a good relationship. The United States is our largest trading partner. Venezuela is our closest neighbor. And I am very cognizant of that. And what the population of Trinidad and Tobago can measure me by is those are two relationships that I've been an integral part of for the last 9 years and managing despite whoever is in office. And you've seen some of the success. So let us just hope that that continues.
Prime Minister Young has promised to update the nation on the outcome of the bilateral talks at the weekly post-cabinet media briefing on Thursday. Karen Cozier-Phillip, TTT News.
So what exactly, again, I'm asking that Kamala Persad says that, Prime Minister of this country, what has she done? It's a good thing Stuart Richard Young, SCMP, now, is to chronicle this whole situation that we have it today. So they can't say them do nothing. I said before, the energy sector, we just know it making it gas and oil and that running, blah, blah, blah. But when Minister Young became the minister there, it became exciting. We start to know things. They started to every deal they make, every place they go, it was chronicled. So today, Dr. Rulan Munilan and all of them praising Kamala Persad again for doing what? Listen to what she say. I don't understand what. Listen again to she.
Prime Minister Kamala Persad made several surprise announcements following the swearing in of her cabinet on Saturday. The one that stood out the most was TNT's push in the energy industry. The Prime Minister said her administration would not move forward with the previous government's dragon gas deal.
That is dead. It is dead. They kept it alive for 10 years. And they couldn't do that in 10 years. They're not going to do it now. Let's look right in the Caribbean. As I mentioned, Grenada, Guyana, Suriname.
You ain't going Grenada again, and Guyana again, and Suriname again? Because the dragon dead, how come you coming to tell we now that you went and talked to the Secretary of State to revamp the dragon deal after all the cost President Maduro and all kind of thing? Who are you going to get to go Venezuela to get this gas? Is this thing about narco-terrorism? Or I just asking a question, is that just a show and it have more behind it? I don't know. But you went and meet with Marco Rubio. Look, the Prime Minister meet with Marco Rubio. What different you do? Look.
How are you? Not too bad. Should I say congratulations or condolences? Well, you should tell me. You've been in much longer than I have. Only 9 weeks. So you've been like 3 weeks. No? That's right.
Yeah. The Prime Minister then meet with Marco Rubio too. He didn't have everybody lined up like this, children in a corridor and anything. MP Children Prime Minister, you're walking. And they talk and listen to this after.
Prime Minister Stuart Young traveled to Kingston, Jamaica on Wednesday for bilateral talks with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Speaking at a post-cabinet press briefing earlier this evening, Prime Minister Young confirmed that Trinidad and Tobago will proceed with the dragon gas deal following discussions with Secretary Rubio on its strategic importance.
I did raise the point that our OFAC for Dragon is in October. Secretary of State Rubio said, "Stuart, well, Prime Minister, that is some time off from now. We are going to continue to work with you, etc." Nobody's going to give that blanket commitment at this stage. But I emphasize, he said, I'm not going to harm Trinidad and Tobago after hearing how important it was for us.
Although the Office of Foreign Assets Control license is set to expire in October, Young noted that discussions on the matter are ongoing. He also reaffirmed that Secretary Rubio assured Trinidad and Tobago would not be adversely affected.
With the Dragon, we are continuing. So I have been constantly engaged with Shell. We haven't slowed down. And that was the message yesterday as well. We are proceeding full speed ahead. And understand, please, as our largest trading ally, the effects this can have if it doesn't happen. And Secretary of State Rubio was very, very clear that he appreciated the opportunity to hear from us firsthand and from the Prime Minister firsthand on that and the effects it would have. And he kept emphasizing, we are not going to harm Trinidad and Tobago.
Young also stated that despite ongoing discussions with the U.S., the Trinidad and Tobago government continues to engage the Maduro-led administration in Venezuela.
I remain engaged with the Venezuelan government at a very high level, and that conversation doesn't stop. At this stage, there's nothing in particular for me to speak to him about.
Right? And they didn't have no ship and submarine and all kind of thing down here. And there was conversation, diplomatic conversation and all that, and thing was going there. What it is change? Is it because they realize, I just asked them, is it because they realize that Trinidad and Tobago have a very inexperienced government, especially when it comes to treating with energy issues? Because who is expert in energy? Who in the UNC is expert? Like Minister Stuart Young, Member of Parliament now Stuart Young. Who in the UNC administration has the expertise like him? There's nobody. So probably US realized that them dumb as shit and they could pass one over them, and I give an opinion. They're greedy for power and money, whatever. So anything. I don't know. I just ask him. because this was an experienced man in the field who was a lead negotiator in the world, and I will tell all you how he is one of the lead negotiators in the world. I will come to that just now. So I asked him again, what has Kamala Persad done to create this big so she do this and do that for the country? Where is the OFAC license? Under what conditions? How they getting the gas? They ain't telling me that. How they going to Venezuela and get that gas? I just asking, they're going to invade. Trinidad is going to invade Venezuela to take the gas. I just asking a question. Only remember we have a regimented. Okay. We have a police service that's struggling to keep law and order in this country. Eh? You remember that? And a Coast Guard who are there trying to do the best because they come and they would have take away all the OPVs and whatever, and all the men who went to train to do all them kind of work. They stopped the program, shut down the whole intelligence service, all kind of thing. I was giving it to a secretary to run the whole department. Or remember them thing, right? Okay, listen to this.
It gave me, Trinidad and Tobago, the opportunity firsthand to discuss with the Secretary of State the matters in energy, because they had as one of the items, as did we, the need to discuss energy security, not only for us here domestically, but throughout the region. And as I emphasize, we also do supply energy products, LNG, to Chile in South America. We were the largest supplier of LNG in the past, in the mid-2000s, to the eastern seaboard of the United States. So the important role that we play there, and also something that is not emphasized maybe sometimes enough, that we are major, we are in the top 2 suppliers, exporters of ammonia in the world, which is a fertilizer product, and that we supply some of this fertilizer to the United States. Secretary of State Rubio understood it. I then took the discussions to the Dragon gas deal, to our relationship with Venezuela, and emphasize the importance of it, not only to Trinidad and Tobago, but I was able to set out how it would also affect the rest of the CARICOM region because of the important role that we play in supporting some of our CARICOM brother and sister nations throughout the region. That was accepted. I also took the opportunity, and this is the benefit of a respectful relationship. This is the benefit of what we've built up over the past few years with the decision makers in the United States. And when my predecessor and myself have spoken to you and told you we speak to persons on both sides of the aisle, we remained engaged with whoever is the government in the United States. Yesterday was a day that was a good day for Trinidad and Tobago because that really came out. So I was able to then get into some level of granular detail and discuss with the Secretary of State, who is one of the main people who is going to be charged with determining the policy to deal with Venezuela and in particular energy going forward, exactly how this transaction is structured, the work that we have already done along with Shell to make it a reality, and the effects that it will have, in particular on the rest of the region. I was happy that in that conversation, Secretary of State Rubio did indicate that he was pleased for this information because he was getting it firsthand.
Right? Again, I'm asking who in the UNC has that type of experience and ability and capability to negotiate any gas contract. The last time we had Kevin Ramnarai, he negotiated a gas contract or some energy contract with Japan that was costing this country 900 million, I think was either US dollars or something. When the PNM came into office, Dr. Rowley took Stewart up to Japan and they renegotiated that deal because had Japan wanted the money, could have sent me straight to the IMF. What deal do they and could they negotiate? Even in the People's National Movement, the man who has the ability, the experience, the capability, and the negotiator, it is Stuart Richard Young SC, whether they like it, lump it, wherever it is, that is the truth. So listen to this. June the 13th, 2023, The Honorable Stuart R. Young, MP, Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, and Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, delivered a keynote address to the International Energy Summit of the Association of International Energy Negotiators under the theme Pursuit of Energy Security and Sustainability, a Caribbean Perspective. That was up in Miami, Florida. Imagine we own Son of the Soil, was a keynote speaker at the International Energy Summit of Association of International Energy Negotiators. That is how good he is. Listen to this one too. February 11, 2025. The Honorable Sir John S.C. Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries keynote speaker at the Trinidad and Tobago Energy Conference. I am privileged once again to deliver the keynote address to this distinguished audience at the Energy Chamber Annual Conference. Allow me at the outset to put on the record that it has been an honor and a privilege to serve as Trinidad and Tobago Minister of Energy over the last 4 years. And he went on to think he was in the keynote speaker in the TNT Energy Chamber and the conference. I see the Energy Chamber come out, they happy with Dragon Deal. What are they happy with? All they see any OFAC license. How we getting the gas from Venezuela? What asking a question like all they joining with this whole mad scene now? How they getting it? Ask Stuart Richard Young the implication of what it is Kamala and them doing in this country to get that gas. How they getting it? What has she done? The man with the experience, but all they want to hear that. All they want to hear that. Let me put up this picture here. I will go on to the next one just now. Put up that. PM towards Dragon Survey ship. This was in the Newsday, Sunday, the 13th of October, 2024. The Prime Minister on October the 11th visited a ship acquired to help plan the exploitation of the Dragon gas field, for which Trinidad and Tobago had obtained a 2-year license from the U.S. Treasury Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, to extract Venezuelan natural gas, exempting TNT from U.S. sanctions on its neighbor. TNT also has a 30-year license with Venezuela, with first gas expected in 2027, according to several reports. The Dragon field is estimated to hold 4.2 trillion cubic feet of gas, with a projected output of 185 million cubic feet per day. Dr. Keith Rowley toured the vessel, which will soon depart our shores to conduct surveys and collect technical data on the Dragon gas field, said a post by the Office of the Prime Minister on Facebook. Energy Minister Stuart Young gave a status update on the project as part of the team accompanying Dr. Rowley. Shell TT Senior Vice President and Country Chair Adam Lomas and National Gas Company NGC Chairman Dr. Joseph Ishmael Khan were also on board the ship, now docked at Chagarama. The statement said the ship will help determine the design and the route of the pipeline, which will bring gas to Shell platform. Young also referred to the ship in a post on Facebook October the 11th. 10 months after obtaining the 30-year license to explore, produce, and export gas from the Venezuelan Dragon field to TNT, a survey vessel is departing to commence the technical survey exercise of the Dragon field and the seabed between Dragon and the Hibiscus platform in Trinidad and Tobago. Work has been proceeding apace as we work to ensure the future of TNT. Accompanying photos show the ship named as Donna Jose II. The website www.vesselfinder.com said Donna Jose II is an offshore tug supply ship built in 2004 and currently sailing under the flag of Colombia. all that was going on. Again, tell me, with Kamla Prasad Bisesta do what Dr. Rudal Munilal do. Them have no experience in energy. Nobody in the company there, in the administration of the UNC, has no experience like Stuart Richard Young in the energy sector. Look at the work they would have done. How they getting the gas again from Venezuela. Who going out there with one ship to go and see how they go lay the pipe running from Venezuela water to come here? Who? Tell me who? Is it asking why the ships and submarine and all kind of thing out there in the waters? What it is going on? What has Kamla Prasad Bisesa and this government sign up Trinidad and Tobago citizens for? Because I can assure you, she could hide in Pink Palace with she heliport and fly out anytime. Them have money all over. We say here allegation of money, all that. Them could fly out. Half fly out. Is we go be here. We go be here when the ship hit the fan and start to splatter. Well, you have on raincoat and hat and galoshes and all kind of things. We're going to be with protection. I just asking a question. Let me continue. So I'm seeing this 30th of September 2025, Stuart R. Young, SCMP, saying today's announcement from Secretary of State Marco Rubio with respect to Trinidad and Tobago is consistent with what he told me when I was Prime Minister. Amazingly, one of the first announcements of Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa after she was sworn in was that Dragon was dead and that her government would be pursuing gas in Grenada, Guyana, and Suriname. Now, in a not surprising complete turnaround, the UNC is pursuing Venezuelan Dragon gas. The success of cross-border gas depends on many factors, including, very critically, multilateral respect and diplomacy, as the gas is owned by another state. Time is longer than twine. And the other state that the gas is owned is Venezuela. It's not only Maduro regime, it's the citizens of Venezuela, how much millions of them. It's them own it. How is Kamla Prasad Bisesa going to get this gas? Nobody telling we. You don't play this ball, you know.
Wait, the Dragon gas deal is back? Just now, hold up. Where's my manners? I know you all are waiting patiently to hear about this whole hacking debacle. Don't worry, that video is coming later on tonight. I did that video a total of 6 times. 5 times wasn't up to my standard. The 6th time I nailed it. But that video coming later on tonight. Back to the point at hand. Dragon gas deal is back? No, it can't be. This has to be the 1% media that Philip Alexander keep warning us about. They are trying to make the Prime Minister look bad. Because ain't no way that could be the same Dragon gas deal that looked like this. That can't be the same pipeline that you were running from a Dragon field to our shores. Can't be. That can't be the same Dragon gas deal that had me being cussed out on social media, called an nigger, called an Oreo, a house slave, all that. That can't be the same deal. You see why I ignored you all? You see why? You see why when I say something, I say something and I stand by it? Because I don't come here and talk sick for public? This is why. What I want to know now is whether or not Maduro and the Dragon are both aware of this recent development. I want to know if anybody told them. Because to me, I was told he is a dictator we should not do business with. And when I came on here and I said, look, we have to put our economy and our people first, and who the hell is America to come and tell us who we can and can't do business with? On what moral authority do they have to judge us? You know what happened? I was told, all your stinking mother so-and-so, your P&M so-and-so, here's a Rambola. By one set of hungry, white mouth, full of gas people living in Borough, so they said the hell jump out themselves to come and cuss me on social media. And I ignored them because who the hell even are you all to come and address me directly, firstly? Yeah, let me start there. But what is this? So it turns out Stuart Young was right after all. Who would have thunk it? Or they would never admit it, but I go say it here. Apparently he was right after all, because what is this going on here? The Dragon gas deal was a good deal. Okay. Unless you're saying that you're not going to do business with Maduro because he's a dictator. In which case,
is trying to be able plan to depose Maduro. We have been sold out, and here is why I say this. Many of you all wouldn't have been following this guy for the past couple of years because he's on Trump's side and you all hate Trump, so you never follow anything he said. But I listen to all the Trump rallies, all the campaigns, because it becomes no secret to you all, I prefer Trump over Kamala Harris. So I listen to them. I know what his philosophy is. He would never agree to anything unless it benefits the USA. He doesn't care about PNM, UNC, East Indians, Negroes. He doesn't care. It must benefit the USA. So what I want to know, and what you all should also want to know, is what was promised by this current government that was rejected by the previous government. Because there must be a reason why they turned down the deal then and they're accepting it now. Because if you followed that man's career, you would know that whatever we accepted is not in our best interest. It's in their best interest. But anyway, I'm back. I'm not back at 10K yet, but don't worry, I can reach there. Minor setback, I can reach back at 10K very, very, very soon. So go across, leave a like, just type in the name Rambles TV, look for the new logo, and you will find me there.
Again, I ask him, what was the deal made? What impact it going to have on we children and Trinidad and Tobago? All they thinking like Kamala do something and she do nothing. Well, in terms of getting the whole set of work for the past 10 years, but them ain't do nothing. Dr. Murilan ain't do nothing. That is not his field of expertise. Them knows nothing about that. So when them go and sit down to talk with Marco Rubio and thing, them naive. Them I must be open bright so to be able to talk to Marco, whoever his name is, and oh God, he must run rings round them and get the best deal for USA and we get nothing. Listen to another young person speaking.
It's been a while since I made a political video, but I say I had to run up my whole self in this one. So earlier, not too long ago, just a few months ago, the whole country was talking about this dragon gas deal, and a certain sector of people, i.e. UNC supporters, were up in their feelings, right, stating that the dragon gas deal is irresponsible, and how could Dr. Rowley link with a dictator, that is Maduro. You all remember those comments? And then when the Trump administration came into power and they did not grant us the license to conduct our energy business with Venezuela, these same supporters were happy. They were elated, right? And they were saying that the dragon gas deal is not a good deal, and they were happy that it was dead. You know, that was the news headlines. Dragon gas dead, because, you know, that was one of the PNM's main, I want to say, I don't want to say accomplishments, but that was something that they were pushing as something that would benefit the country. So they were like, now PNM have nothing else to talk about in terms of what they did for energy. So tell me why I scroll through Facebook and I see on CNC3 and other news platforms that the Honorable Prime Minister Kamala Bissessa was speaking with Rubio, and now they are granting us the license to do our business with Venezuela, and these same supporters are clapping. Yeah, excellent work, Prime Minister. Good deal. This is the same Venezuela that you all have nothing good to say about. Am I missing something? Because just a few months ago, you all don't want to work with a dictator administration. So how now we're still pushing forward to attempt to strike the relevant energy partnerships? Like, am I missing something? And this, to me, just proves the point that people in this country, they don't support or oppose based on logic. They do it based on party. So the UNC could come now and push the same thing the PNM was pushing and get the applause. But just because the PNM was the one doing it, at that time, they had a problem. No, they do have a problem. They're glad. Well, I personally waiting to see what would come out of the Jagan gas deal or any other deal that they are intending to strike with Venezuela, would Maduro want to work with this administration? Who knows? Who knows? Let's wait and see. But for me, or let's be hypocritical in this country.
And that's the big question. Would President Maduro want to work with Kamala Persaud and this regime? Not only that, what it is did Mrs. Persaud and UNC sign away with me? You hear what Ramos was saying? And if you look at the career of Margot, well, you know, America don't just give you something for nothing. And whatever they're giving you is less than what you giving them. So you will get them you will get them the whole bag of sugar, the whole grocery, everything. And they will give you a lollipop to suck and you feel you get something. Especially if you don't understand negotiation and you don't understand and you're just on vanity and ego to feed and you're just on position and dressing expensive clothes, looking good and going out there. If that's all you want and that's all you think, that way you gonna get because you realize you're not serious. So today was a press conference. The PNM held a press conference, and of course, because there's energy, the only person they could call, they can't call nobody else. The same Stuart Young, who the supporters of the opposition leader, that be cussing the supporters who saying that Stuart Young, and I saying it here, who vex laws because you're seeing how the thing play now. You need a negotiator now in these times. You need somebody who's killing talking because you don't know what it is them people went and serial for. And I said to myself, how come? Who invited the political leader to go out there? Anything. We would like to know that. Because I know she was ambassador for years and years, so she must have had links and make links. So we would like to know who. We would like to know what she actually sit around discussing them energy thing and the thing with the woman. And we want to know. We want to know what's happening. It's when they ain't telling people and whoever they just make say, well, I hear this and I hear that, so that we know straight, so we don't have to say, well, we think this and think that, we know. But going back to the salient point, this situation, this country going to need a good skilled negotiator to get we out of this way. All they know that. I asking again how they getting the gas. Because the next alternative, I think in my mind, that ain't good for we, you know. That's a real issue, so we know when America done and the thing and them gone back them how much thousands of miles from we, you know. We right across there from Venezuela, we have to live in the mess that they leave after, God forbid. What the drag and oil or gas go do for we then? What I go do for we then? We go get a lollipop and them going away with the whole shop. Yeah? And just the few on top. Is who will get the lollipop, and when they don't suck it down to the stick they give it, and you just get the taste of the little sugar on it to remember how a lollipop used to taste. I just asked a question. So today was the PNM press conference. I'm happy to see they had one because this needed a response one time. So I'm waiting to see the next one where the political leader is going to tell and the opposition leader is going to tell the country what your talks was about. Because we ain't get it. Who invited there? And then the chairman, I think, will come out to say, I thought he would have come out and say, well, the political leader, opposition leader, has been a UN ambassador for years. So she has links and people out there. So if it could be one of that, instead of saying, well, if when that dirty mouth one, that drunk, that in my opinion, that drunkard, from what I see pictures of and video of, I could say in my opinion he's a drunkard. I see in a carnival thing, the only thing he do is piss down himself and pee running down his leg, and that's the only thing. But other than that, that is drunk. And that is not no, you just drink and get drunk. That seems to be a drunk that you always there, because I'm no alcoholics. I had family members who was alcoholics. So I know the sign, I know the symptom, I know this. No, I know it. So I say, in my opinion, he's a drunk. Come out and say, oh, invite Penny and whatever, and then the chairman of the PNM say, well, the prime minister don't have no problem. Where you bringing the prime minister in that for? Who cares? She have a problem. Don't have no problem. She have a problem. I know we business. Tell me instead of the political leader, the PNM, she was an ambassador of the UN for years. So she had contacts out there and she went and meet when she contacts them and right. We want to hear where you're not more. Oh, Kamala don't have a problem. It's what is really wrong with everybody? Who cares if Kamala have a problem or don't have a problem with the opposition leader and the PNM going up to the UN? If they have a problem, that's their business. If they don't have a problem, that's their business too anyhow. So they had the press conference. And this is what Stuart Young SC had to say. Who spoke would have been, I think, Com Embert, and then I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Amy Brown or something. But I was moving quickly and I just, because Stuart Young was the first ones, I was happy so I could listen that. I didn't have to listen the whole thing because I wouldn't be able to have time to listen to the whole thing. So this is what Member of Parliament Policy of St. Anne's West would have said.
Premature Minister Munilal coming out and selling to the country, as is the Prime Minister, that they have obtained something is completely false. We had obtained an initial OFAC license in January 2023, where they spell out the terms of what they would allow. And in that license, they had said that you could not pay Venezuela and the people of Venezuela in fiat currency. It had to be in kind. The same UNC were grilling us in the PNM and asking how many times I traveled to Venezuela. And the same Munilal making a lot of noise and fanfare about me going there 13 times. Well, let us see what they do now. Because on every single one of those occasions, it was to meet with the government of Venezuela and their technocrats to then negotiate the terms upon which they would be prepared to allow dragon gas to be sold to Trinidad and Tobago. And they would not do it for in kind. So you would then recall back and forth, I was going up to Washington, then obtained an amendment to that OFAC license for Dragon later on in October of 2023 that said you can pay in fiat currency, which is basically recognized currency, whether it be in EU dollars or whether it be in United States dollars. It allowed us to be able to pay for the gas. And then it was in December that we finally managed to negotiate the 30-year license. Look at the language very carefully from Secretary Rubio's office that talks about what they are prepared to look at. That's the first point. The second is you now have to go through applying to OFAC and waiting on the terms of the license from OFAC. And it is only then you will know what is the landscape and playing field that you can now go to Venezuela and attempt to negotiate. But as I just said, you have to go to Venezuela and negotiate with Venezuela, the owners of the gas.
Can I rest my case? Who going to Venezuela and talk to the administration? Listen, stranger thing has happened, but you see me, logically speaking, me see not happening, you know, but again, we wait and see. I don't know everything, I don't know whatever. What I know, we are a competent negotiator in Stuart Young SC. The world respect him as a negotiator. He was invited in 2023 to speak at an international conference, international, not regional. I ain't saying regional, good, but this is international negotiator. You know, he's a keynote speaker. You know, he's a keynote speaker. People, all I say, we need to know what deal was brokered. We need to see the license and see the new terms of engagement, because we hear now that the Marco Rubio talking about fiat currency and all that. He said Venezuela is not really, the administration in Venezuela is not really putting it my way. not to really benefit from whatever agreement. So we're going to take the people gas. How we're going to get it? We're going to get them for just so. Venezuela in her 70 people, you know. And it's not only Maduro, you know, it's the livelihood. And then millions of people inside Venezuela, all they're playing with, you know. Melka, Augusta, Miriam, Shireen, Sweet Berries, Bernadine, Andel. I said these already. Laurel. Who again? Nika, Maria, Angela, Joseph, Richards, Shireen, Keith, Diamond, Trini Jewel, and all my other peeps on Facebook. So I'm going to call names. I don't care if I repeat it because there's my people have always been there with me. Love all the bad. I don't care sometimes we might get away and all that. That's okay. That's all it has been. But it's a mutual love and respect. So Margaret Davison, Yvette, Angela, Rodriguez Lacroix, I ain't seen Mr. and him Mr. Lacroix for a while. Ginger Penda Lona, Ortega Manette, Sarah Richards, Emmeline Harvey, Christopher Coffey, Erica Richardson. Well, I see Mr. Keith Marshall. It's Keith Marshall, yes. I see Mr. Marshall there saying UNC is being scapegoated. So Christopher Coffey, right. I said Erica Richardson already, Charles Chris, my whole family from out in Puna, and Shepherd, Ophelia, Boyce, Andrew Horton, Alison Boyce, Helen Russell from Pleasantville, long time I see her in my life, darling. Roxanne King, Roxanne, I hear any what going on. Bolty, Hadara, Ruthven, Dr. Lloyd Straker, Lucy Brown, Cheryl Seeley, Alison Phillip, Jonas Lazare, Francia Pancho, E.S. Shorty. Well, I see Bernadine Angel Jocelyn. I see something she put up there. Yes, she said, so true, that gas there is just wasting and burning without any uses. But she gonna know where she gonna know about them things too. She might be an expert in energy and thing, but she have knowledge about Venezuela and thing, right? Augusta, Cape Town, Victoria, and Sour Girl. I hope everything you and the family good and your friend who are meeting Yipska, remember she name at all. McDonald, Banto, Katia, Raymond, Felicia, and Elise, Alexander, Joyce, Nevis, Margaret, Thomas, Angela, Sobas, Denise Reed, Kes Thomas Farrell, Rosalind Norton, Ogis. I think I called she name somewhere there already. Let me see. Diamond Trinity, I call you already, darling. Because I have it on here, you know. Myrtle Joseph, Tesla Graham, Cynthia Jackson, Denise Cummins, Camille Dean, Mary the Hem, whole friend from Duncan, Cheryl Paul, whole friend from up in Puna. Thank you all for listening, locked on, tuning. Let me see Diamond Trini Jewel said, the winner takes all. That's America, while the loser standing small UNC guava, man, to kill. I hope we get a guava sweetie while them go with your whole guava factory. Let me see who some comments here now. So Kevin, Jimmy, Glennis. Well, I see some from Lloyd. Let me see. Who again, boy? Hey. Tony. Let me see. Well, Stuart Young call Moody Lal premature. Watch me out easy, you know. Good evening, Maria Lyons, Mr. Chance. Denise, let me see if you call my name again, everybody greeted. Let me see. This is Denise coming. Good evening, Maria Lyons, Mr. Chan, Jillian, Anne Marie, Mr. Yates, Mr. Briggs, Patsy, Hazel, Andrea, Pearl, Debs, Jillian, Marcelin, Maratana, Puna, Palm, Patty, and Edward. Me, I see my name there, Denise. I jealous, but you good, so? Excuse me. You are my life and you even tell me good evening, Denise. Oh God, Denise. Oh God. Pop my name now, Denise. Tell me good evening too. She said, hey, how Kunilal was not there and he was the energy minister, but he, hey, I'm glad they mentioned that. Come up with somebody saying if you carry Munilal and he's the minister energy. And I tell you something, I tell all you, I feel like give that minister energy to embarrass the backside. You see how party does be? He does just be fooling in. That's my opinion. Caribbean soul. Oh God, what you say? Caribbean soul. Call name Jennifer Frederick if you're bad. Call who name Caribbean soul. I just tell all you what to do, you know, because like all just want something to do. That bamboo, that bamboo, that yellow bamboo, like the ramet of all the CARCAWHOL is so now all the dripping yellow. Take your head, bend over and use it like a tampon and clog the dripping. Don't ask me to call nobody name. You go and see what a dripping CARCAWHOLE, a dripping yellow. And you know when it reaches the yellow, is that infection, that pus. So you must be smelling too. Go and deal with the smell and don't study me. Let me see who are they. Keith Marshall said the answer is no. Venezuela will not agree to give away the gas but can't benefit from it. That is so easy to answer. No. I'm only saying. So people, I want to thank you all for always coming to hang out and listen to me. On the Authority and on the platform. Thank director for me being on this platform. Bounce Up Central Network. Thank you. I'll see you all on Friday. God's Spirit. We're going to end with a song. We're going to end with a song. The Stone of the Billa Refuse. Hey, see you all on Friday. Gospel Love Only. Even Caribbean Soul and all it choke itself. I wonder if he had come out to CARCAWHOL, so you go hear what I said. Caribbean Soul, I love you still. You're damn chopped too. But I still love you. People, see you all on Friday. God's Spirit. God. Listen to the little song. It ain't lasting. Stony Bella Refuse. All they think that easy. What has happened to that Stony Bella Refuse? It has become what? Hey! Ashe.